I met with KMTV's film presenter Chris Deacy to talk about the expectations these films can set. We met outside the Dickens Chalet in Rochester, where the Medway great was said to have wrote many of his books. It may even have been where Christmas characters like Ebenezer Scrooge and Tiny Tim came to life. Well, we're here in Rochester, where Charles Dickens wrote many of his books and also had inspiration for many of his books. And as we're talking about Christmas, let's talk about one of his most famous books, A Christmas Carol. And in that we see the main character, Ebenezer Scrooge, starting off as quite a miserable character, and by the end he's really happy and he actually is getting involved in all the Christmas celebrations. So there's almost that theme of there's some magic to Christmas that can change people, isn't there?
I think it's often the ideal, because that's the ideal that we all strive towards, the idea that we become better people. But of course what the Scrooge story doesn't tell us is what happens after Boxing Day, because we don't know if he's reformed for good. In a way it doesn't matter, because that's the Christmas narrative, that's the paradigm that applies in so many Christmas films, and I think in each of our lives. It's that sense that something renewal happens, there's some sort of transformation, we become better people.
In many of these Christmas films we see sort of expensive gifts, big spreads of food. Can this lead some people to thinking, why is my Christmas not like that, and actually lead them to having certain pressures around Christmas?
I think it's a wider issue about escapism, because there's the idea that sometimes we want our lives to be like those in the movies, but often they're not. But I think it's the way that we almost sort of try to ensure that there's a negotiation between our life and that in the film. Like, what can we do to make our lives like the ideal that may or may not be what's in the film? In the case of Christmas, of course, often these films end on a note where all that family discord has been healed magically, and often it is supernaturally. Everything has been brought together and people are happy once again. But what about people who are not rich and privileged, who can't make ends meet? What happens to them? And I think that that's why the Christmas films fall apart sometimes, because you have this ideal that you know that you can't live up to. So there's that sense, that disconnect from the season, which is all about togetherness and giving. If you can't be together and you're not able to give or receive, then in that respect you're going to feel very unhappy during this crucial, critical time of the year.